We are live. What's going on, everybody? It is Sneed from Sneed Mobile Tech, and we've got a podcast for you guys tonight. Coming live from the CLE 216.
How about those Indians?
Are you kidding me? Sports? Okay.
Good to go here. All right. I just want to make sure I got the chat up. You guys want to go ahead and say your hellos?
Go ahead, Pete.
Everybody.
Hello, all. Peter here. I'm going to make some bad jokes. And Raphael wants my input on the merger, apparently.
Wow, you're a popular guy. Well,
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to the live stream. It's Dave from Dave B's Tech, and look forward to having a great live stream with Sneed and Pete over here.
How did I get so popular? I don't know.
That's why we bring you on, Pete. You get us the views, you get us the clicks, man.
I would sing, but you would get a copyright strike, and everybody would leave.
I mean, if you could hold the note, I mean,
No.
you know,
So, Gary, did you know in Colorado, ducks sink like cement? They don't float.
I saw a
Why
very
is that-
interesting.
That's the word, Gary, man.
I saw a very interesting today. I found out video today about ducks, and you don't want to know the content. Just go look it up. Today I found out.
Yeah, this
It
live
was a-
stream's getting weird talking about this.
Let's go back on topic.
All right, so let's just go ahead and give our hellos to everybody that's in the chat. So we've got Gary. He's in the house. Glad you could be here, Gary. Yes, I'm still very confident on the merger, and I'll give you guys my opinion as to why. Frankie is here. Glad you could make it, sir.
Got Raphael, Perez, Dr.
Robbie's here
Redskin.
moderating. There we go. Jesse is here.
Good to see you again, Dr. DC Redskin, I mean.
Gary, let's watch the language in the chat, please. Got moderators here with wrenches. Darian, what's up, buddy? Glad you could make it.
How's it going, Jarrett?
What else? Who else is here? Jarrett's here. DC Redskin is here. Glad you could make it. Martin is here. Thank you for being here as well. Jar Cohen, 123. What's going on, buddy? Glad you could make it here. We caught up here. We got everybody's hellos, all the shout outs.
That's what
How
I
many people-
noticed. Almost.
How many people we got in the chat so far?
Oh, we got Jesse Moley, Mundley, and Darian probably still.
Already with a super chat. Jar Cohen, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Well, everybody that's already in the chat, hit the thumbs up button.
How's
George
it
is
going,
here.
George?
Yeah, buddy. Glad you could make it, George. All right, I want to go ahead and start the video with just a quick round of shout-outs. Let's go ahead and give shout-outs to the Patreon members. Dave, in the house. Pete, in the house. Martin, Justin, Jamal, Joel, Mark, Breon, and George. Big shout-outs to the patrons over on the Patreon page. Thank you guys so much for the continued support here with Sneed Mobile Tech. And I just want to do that. And then also give a quick shout-out to the Discord community. For those of you there, thank you guys for the excellent discussions, the sharing of the speed test, the sharing of the photos. I mean, we have a lot of fun on that server. It's a good time. If you guys are interested,
there, Gary.
put a link in the description for both the Patreon and for the Discord server.
Man,
What's going on, Pete?
Go ahead.
Gary gave us a super chat.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it, man. Very nice of you to give the super chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
And
Gary.
yes, indeed, John M. We are alive. Almost on time.
If all the patrons are in the house, then that's going to be an awfully crowded house.
I think we've got a few actually here. There's probably about 4 patrons right now in the live chat or in the actual podcast. So, all right. Should we go ahead and get started?
Yeah.
Ooh, Michael's in the house. Glad you could be here, buddy. Oh, and another last shout out real quick. Michael Fresca is in the live chat. Go ahead and check out his YouTube channel. This guy does some really, really good stuff. He's got excellent opinions, very good production. His channel is really interesting. He's got a lot of different tech related stuff. He does headphone reviews. He does rumor and speculation on up-and-coming smartphone releases, things of that nature. Really, really good stuff. Everybody go ahead and check out Michael Fresca on the YouTube channel. Very good. Subscribe. Check out those videos.
Maybe he could tell me some better headphones to get. I think these things cost like $10 at Walmart or something.
He's actually reviewed some pretty high-end stuff, so he might have some good recommendations for you.
Thanks for the super chat, Mark Hoyle.
Thank you for the generosity, Mark. Much appreciated. Thank you. You know what, John? What's up with the notification system these days? Like,
wait, did I get a notification? Yep, I got one right now saying you were going live.
See, that's the interesting thing because, like, it should have gone out 7 minutes ago.
Right now, popped up.
What are you gonna do?
Oh yeah, looks like I've got one too.
All right, so notifications are just coming out now. So that must be why we're starting to get people to pile into the live chat. So maybe we'll wait another minute or so to see if anybody else piles in. We're at 47 right now.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty typical for a start of the chat. I don't know. We're at 54.
My T-Mobile generally is pretty fast.
My T-Mobile is too.
I'm waiting. If I'm waiting, it's generally Google servers not giving me my data.
Yeah, I've not really had connection issues with my phone ever since I've been on the T-Mobile network. I've had really, really good connections.
Yeah, completely solid.
It looks like we've got some action in the live chat. The Heat magazine says, I need to get you guys to run the tech side of the Heat magazine. Not really familiar with the magazine personally, but
let me Google the Heat magazine.
Check it out.
I've not heard of it, but yeah, let's take a look.
I am a T-Mobile customer. Mark, I don't think Sneed is at the moment.
No, I'm not.
No, I think, aren't you on Big Red?
No, I am on Big Red.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I think it's because it's the only reliable provider he has in his area, which is why we need the merger.
Well, maybe his area sucks.
Well, to be honest with you, I could have any of the big three. I could have T-Mobile, I could have Verizon or AT&T, and the service would be good. The reason I'm with Verizon is because their calling is the best. I don't get any dropped calls. It's always LTE. It works. The problem I have with T-Mobile in my area is the calling.
I don't make phone calls.
See, that's the thing. I'm still making calls.
I use data for everything. I'm using like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger and Google Duo for everything.
Yeah, I wish I could say the same.
Google
actually,
Duo.
Huh?
Hey, Adam. You liking T-Mobile?
Let's see. There's some action in the chat here. We got to catch up a little bit, guys. We're falling behind. Gary says we're wasting time. I don't think so, but anyways. Sebastian says notifications on YouTube are very delayed. Yeah, that's kind of frustrating right now. I'm hoping they could figure that out. Another Gary Omo says, I didn't get the notification, so clearly something's going on. Aiden or Dan, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, says we definitely need the merger for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page here in the podcast. George says, I'm with Sprint. I'm hoping the merger goes through. Sprint customers are probably the biggest beneficiaries when it comes to service.
Yep.
Right, their performance is going to improve greatly.
Oh, gosh,
They won't be roaming on my network when they merge.
I think it's going to be actually detrimental to T-Mobile customers. It's going to be pounds better for Sprint customers.
Cheryl, glad you could be here. And I think, Pete, you just got a compliment. She says you look like a lion.
Roar.
There's no way she's talking about me. I don't look like a lion, man. Kenneth is here. Sprint's too much money. I go broke with Sprint. Wow. Usually Sprint's like Usually Sprint's the one that's like the most affordable.
The way Sprint can compete with T-Mobile is by giving bargain basement pricing.
Did you see the article where where a company was offering to give somebody $1,000 for using a flip phone for a week?
I did see that article, but how legitimate is that?
I'd do it.
I'd do it. I'd actually really consider doing it, especially now.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't say you couldn't use technology. They just said you can't use a smartphone. So you could still watch YouTube on your computer, and you could still like email.
As long as I can get a hotspot, I would take that thing everywhere.
Question is, with the flip phone, would I be able to get it with my number?
SIM cards.
Why not?
I don't see why you couldn't just change the SIM card out and do it that way.
Just keep in mind, everybody's moving to LTE only.
Yeah, most flip phones don't support LTE and LTE.
Well, but there are some that do now.
Yeah, so although they're not like smartphones, they are still considered LTE flip phones.
Yeah, they're VoLTE compatible.
Oh, I mean, everybody's shutting down CDMA.
Well, LTE is going to be the new voice standard, and there won't be GSM and CDMA, so they have to do something.
Right. Very true. All right, I guess we've done all the little introductory stuff. Let's go ahead and get to some topics. All right, so let's recap what we have from this week. Starting with yesterday's news, FCC Commissioner Jessica Rosenworcel has made some public criticisms on the approach that some FCC members have taken on the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. She has serious doubts on the merger. Some of her quotes include, "I've never seen a transaction like this." She is uncomfortable with the FCC's review thus far. She has a problem with how the FCC has publicly voted on it already. And by publicly voted, just kind of like how they voice their opinions in regards to it. And she cites a lack of analysis, investigation, and study on the matter. And she's aggravated with the public statements and the daily press releases to the media. So, she has a problem with this.
I get a little annoyed with the daily press releases.
I can tell you right now. Go ahead, Pete. Or Dave, go ahead.
I think the press releases are something fun to talk about. They're always something interesting to read in the news feed. And I almost think that Jessica, I mean, I don't know what she thinks about the actual merger, but it sounds more like she's upset with her colleagues. Has she said anything specifically about the actual merger, or was she just upset with her colleagues in the way that they, quote unquote, didn't review it?
The one thing, Dave, that I do see is she says she has serious doubts on the merger.
Okay.
Which to me means that she is not a proponent and she has to be swayed to that direction. And she feels that based on the approach thus far from the FCC, they haven't shown the ability to do that. So a lack of study, a lack of investigation, and a lack of analysis, that cites that not only is she questioning her colleagues, but she's also questioning the merger. So I think it's a case of both things. So she's one of 5 FCC members, which she appears to be one of the 2 out of the 5 that oppose it. Which, again, you only need 3 out of the FCC side. So take it for whatever it's worth.
And I think the least popular person on the FCC can just veto them if they vote against them.
Can Ajit Pai actually do that?
I don't
Since he's the chief? I don't think so either. You got to have those 3, I think.
I don't know. I actually don't know what their rules are.
I feel like you got to have 3 out of 5, no matter what.
It might change based on decision.
Because there is only 5 people, and they would have an odd number so that there's no clear vote one way or the other. Like there's no tie.
Let's see what's going on in the chat. See what the people have to say. I don't know how far we got to go back here. Man, I guess we missed a lot. Some more people are popping in here. So Julio is in the house. He says he's going to Verizon. I think it's where I left off. Captain MC7, thank you for being here. He's a Discord moderator. Glad you could stop by, buddy. Thank you for being here. Mo is here. Glad you could be here, brother.
Julio.
So Frankie says there are conditions in using that flip phone to win the money. Yeah, so there's that mention. I guess more people saw that story. Joe DeMarco says there's only one party throwing a baby fit about the merger. Yeah, it's the Democratic Party for sure.
Of course.
Michael says she clearly has no idea what they're doing. They just want to push the 2020 election campaign and find ways to stop the merger. That may be true. You got to think about timing here, right?
Yeah, they just want to seem tough on mergers, but I'd rather have a merger than a buyout. At least with a merger, you can force job requirements.
I don't know. John Mem says Jessica's my hero. He's very proud of her for opposing the merger. Mo says, damn, that's a badass microphone. How much that set you back? I think anybody could afford this mic, honestly. It's not even that expensive. It's a Blue Yeti. It's a good microphone. It's nice. I mean, it's heavy duty. It's good sound quality, I think. I don't know.
How much did it cost?
Isn't it like 150 or something?
It came with a bundle. So it came with this arm. It came with the mic. It came with a stand for the mic. And then it came with these headphones and this what do they call this? The sound grill or whatever it is. All that came together for, I think, $150.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, 130 or 100 something. I think maybe I got like a $20 off coupon or something on eBay.
They should make a USB-C version.
It's using not micro USB. What's the one before it? Was it mini USB?
The mini with the ones that the older the MP3 players used to use.
Like the first smartphones used to use.
Yeah, the mini USBs.
Well, the non-proprietary USBs.
Type B.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Type B. Exactly. It uses that.
Hey, that's better than most I've encountered.
It's working good for me. I mean, I like it. It's really helped my sound quality a lot during the streams and during the production of the videos. So I could recommend it for sure. If you guys want a good mic, the Blue Yeti series, very, very good. And if you get it with the bundle, you get some nice accessories with it. Get the headphones, you get the grill, you get the arm. Gives it some nice flexibility. It's pretty nice. So yeah, that's what's going on with the FCC side. Another piece of news. This is a Reuters report. STS Media Group, a prepaid wireless provider, is prepping itself to get in on the Boost bidding. They are selling Freedom Pop to prepare for the bidding of the merger as they're divesting Boost. So they want in on Boost. Boost had about 7 to 8 million customers.
You need rebranding if you're Freedom Pop.
Well, think about it. Who's going to be in on this bidding? Peter Adderton wants in, the original founder of Boost. He sold to Nextel, which then was sold to Sprint. So he's back in on it. Amazon is rumored, although I don't think that's realistic. Dish and possibly other cable companies could be in, but I hear that there's not much
Comcast and Spectrum already shot that idea down.
So really, it seems like it's going to be possibly a group or a conglomerate of pre-existing MVNOs that could get in on it, which is kind of interesting.
So STS versus Peter Adderton.
Basically, STS and probably a couple other minority groups. Because you got to keep in mind, Freedom Pop is only worth about $90 million.
Yeah, Freedom Pop is tiny.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if any of our viewers or subscribers have the service, but it's a pretty basic service. I mean, they run on AT&T and Sprint, from what I understand.
Well, I've heard a lot of bad things about Freedom Pop, though. Like, I've heard they nickel and dime you for everything they can possibly get out of you. Like, if you think the hidden fees are bad with AT&T and the Big Four, I've heard that Freedom Pop is worse because they say you get free service or low-cost service, and then they get you for $1 here and $1 there for these little upgrades that you don't realize they put on your account. You get like a month or two without them, and then they put it on so that you don't really notice it and stuff like that.
Well, that's probably why they're in a position where they're not showing any growth. I mean, most MVNOs can have, a couple million customers. From what I understand, they're very small. And if their value is only about $90 million, I mean, it's 2 drops in a bucket in the smartphone carrier game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Peter Adderton also met with the DOJ on Friday. That was June 6th, so last Friday. He was meeting with the DOJ, I think specifically the FCC, Ajit Pai, and also Makan Del Rahim, I think they were talking the fourth carrier, how it would be created, what type of steps and requirements need to be put in place. Kind of like the how-to when it comes to building a new carrier that will be able to be nationwide and legitimate. So I think that's pretty telling that the merger is making progress, and they're putting systems in place to make a new national carrier. So I don't know. I kind of like the prospects of the merger when I hear these types of talks are going on.
I'm still wondering, like we brought up a few weeks ago, if the fourth carrier has to be postpaid or prepaid.
Well, I don't think it's going to be prepaid. That makes no sense, right? I mean,
If they're
I
trying
think
to replace Sprint.
right. I think Boost in and of itself will continue to thrive as its own prepaid carrier, divested. But I think what they want to do is create a fourth national carrier. Boost cannot be a national carrier unless it's sold to a very big, powerful company that also receives spectrum out of the deal.
I almost wonder if a fourth national carrier could do something like get T-Mobile's 700 Block A, which is only 5 megahertz wide, but if they got it almost everywhere in the country, then they could build a calling and texting network off of that, and then use higher frequencies specifically for data, like 1.9 and 2.1, stuff like that, 1.7, 1.9, and 2.1.
We got a super chat from Kyle Dawson. Does Sprint's merger mean that Sprint's towers are going to be given to the fourth carrier, or is Sprint going to pick up the best spots, or T-Sprint going to pick up the best parts and fire sale the rest? From what I remember, Kyle, they were going to take it all and over 3 to 5 years, convert all the CDMA spectrum into LTE.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
If they're required to divest some of the spectrum, that would go into a fire sale.
Because the fourth carrier may get the spectrum. That doesn't mean that T-Mobile or the new T-Mobile would have to give them tower sites. And I know that they said that they would take and they would keep the Sprint towers that were good in good places that they didn't already have coverage up. And
redundant coverage they don't need capacity area for.
Yeah, like in the cities or whatever where Sprint already has coverage and T-Mobile has coverage, they can just take those towers down. But in a rural area where Sprint might have coverage and T-Mobile doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I could actually see T-Mobile forcing the decommission of those sites. And if the FCC, or I guess in this case, the DOJ says, out of this merger, we want infrastructure to be provided to the new carrier, that might mean leaving some of the sites up and allowing them to operate that on their own accord. So who's to say that they won't be using their towers per se? But it would no longer be Sprint's towers. It would now be owned and operated by the fourth national carrier.
That's true.
Which would probably be an LTE network.
Most definitely. And it could be 5G. What if all of the spectrum that they were to receive became 5G low-band frequency network, just specifically used for providing coverage in areas that struggle with it? Then so take 700 megahertz from T-Mobile, allocate that to those towers to operate a very simple, not increasingly, like not crazy blazing fast, but just a 5G speeds that could be consistent. We can get these people 20 to 50 megabits per second in areas where Sprint didn't, provide good coverage.
Not possible yet. There's not enough 5G phones. No one would have.
We're talking 3 to 6 years.
Oh, that's true. Okay, that's
good.
We're
not talking right now. Come on, Dave. Let's be real. How long is it going to take to build a new carrier?
Yeah, it's going to take at least 3 years, probably more than
3 years is accelerated. That's crazy fast.
3 years would be if they got a lucrative roaming agreement with T-Mobile.
But right now, if they did, like if the merger was approved tomorrow, and that's what they said they would have, that's what they said they would do, they'd have no customers for the next 3 years until 5G phones started becoming more prevalent.
Well, no, you could build the roaming agreements for those 3 years, right?
Oh, that's true. That's right.
So you could have the roaming agreements in place, make it operational, and then begin to kind of build that infrastructure for a new and more dynamic network. So yeah, Kyle, that's a good question, and that's pretty much. I mean, it kind of depends on the DOJ. What's going to happen with all of the old Sprint stuff? Infrastructure and spectrum. Michael says, oh, I just missed it. Where did it go? Michael says, imagine if Apple decides to get themselves involved in this. Could you guys see Apple getting involved in provisions?
No.
Man, that would be crazy. What would they do with it if they had a network?
They're too busy.
Go ahead.
They're too busy trying to sell people on Apple TV to be interested in making a carrier.
I could see them doing it, though. And the reason I say that is because they want people, they're starting to become more of a services company.
Yep.
And so I could almost see in larger areas, not necessarily in the middle of nowhere, but in larger metro areas, I could almost see Apple making a network, and it's like almost like Comcast's Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots, and saying in these major metro areas, you can sign up for our Apple home internet and our Apple, we'll give you a free Apple TV. And the reason they would do that is to incentivize people to buy stuff on their platforms.
Yeah, and they'll still charge you $80 a line.
Oh God, yeah, of course, it's Apple.
Maybe $110 a line. You pay a premium, Julio. You pay a premium.
I mean, it's Apple. Of course, you have to.
Did I ever tell you guys what the plumber told me?
What?
The story. So the story of the plumber. The plumber comes over to take care of the toilet at the house. He's looking at everything. I'm asking him questions. Hey, what's wrong? They got to do repairs, whatever. So I said, what's the cost? I got to pay this guy for all the repairs. He goes, I'm not sure yet. It might cost you a little. It might cost you a lot. But it's going to cost you. So I think when people talk about 5G, it's like the story of the plumber. It might cost you a little. It might cost you a lot. But it's going to cost you. And if that's upfront and direct, or if it's, later down the road, or if it's somehow built into some fees, AT&T, we talk about them all the time, and eventually somebody has to pay. So whether it's infrastructure, spectrum, or operational activities, there's always going to be cost there.
Now, here's a question. According to what I understand, since 5G is so much faster and can have so many more devices densely packed on a network, I've heard a lot of things saying that the cost per gig and stuff like that is going to go down. Yep. So I'm almost wondering if at first to build these 5G networks, it's going to cost a lot, and then prices would actually go down over time. So for now, 5G, your line might run $80, and then 6 years from now, they might start to drop.
I mean, it'd be nice to see it drop over time because
the infrastructure.
Ultimately, that's the goal. Right, you want to see the efficiency improve, and I think really what's going to happen is the Huawei trade ban is probably the worst case scenario. I think rural America and 5G is going to take the biggest hit because you lose a serious competitor with 5G hardware, and I think that was going to be part of the reason why the cost for 5G was going to be a little bit more affordable and easier to swallow by the big companies that are rolling out the networks. So what are your options now? Ericsson, who else is making
Nokia.
5G network? Yeah, Nokia. I mean, it's like 3 or 4 companies coming out of Europe when Huawei could provide all of that to all countries.
Cheaper.
That's just what they do. That's
maybe to make a nationwide network, they should just launch, almost go like the Project Loon from Google idea and launch balloons into the stratosphere that could navigate, circle the country or whatever, and beam signals down from 100,000 feet in the air.
I mean, whatever works, if they're willing to try it, and if it.
Hey, the coverage would be good because the higher in elevation the higher up you get,
the better the trajectory, right?
The further a signal is going to propagate, because then because those signals have to deal with the curvature of the Earth. The only ones that really kind of bounce off the ionosphere is 3 to 30 megahertz.
I'd be okay with it. In application, it would work. All right, let's get to the metro, or the most recent announcement, which was from today. And for those of you that haven't seen the video, please, by all means, go ahead and check it out at some point tonight. A group of states is suing to block the proposed T-Mobile and Sprint merger. Citing antitrust reasoning, they're opposing the FCC's claim that the merger is appropriate and feasible and good for the public. The DOJ is currently trying to work on a deal to find the concessions that could make the deal happen. So the state attorneys general, led by New York State Attorney General Letitia James, are filing the lawsuit. This was officially made today, June 11, 2019. So let me give you guys a rundown of the states. I think I had it written down here. Listen
Before you do that, Kyle did a super chat asking about the rumors about the possibility of DirecTV being sold to Dish in another merger. I don't want to sell DTV anymore. As an AT&T employee, I hate shilling that. I read that, Kyle, and I do think that's credible. I would find it odd if they just said, yeah, sure, you can sell DirecTV to like Dish, no problem, with all this hullabaloo about the T-Mobile merger. But
well, I think that merger actually is realistic. That could definitely happen.
If I were Dish, I don't think I'd buy DirecTV. I mean, AT&T's practically run it into the ground. Why would I want something?
It's a toxic brand. It's now a toxic brand.
Yeah, exactly. Like having that on your shoulders, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, but that could change with some realignment. I mean, that just needs.
Oh God, yeah, but the brand image is tarnished because of AT&T, and to fix it would take a lot of time.
You'd be surprised, man. Like when people think of TV, that name pops up. People think Dish, and people think DirecTV now for a streaming service. It just needs new management. It needs a new realignment of vision, and it just needs a good leader. It needs a good business plan, not what Randall Stevenson thinks works by purging customers. The people that pay you money. Let's get rid of those.
Hey, that's the best strategy for making money I've ever encountered.
Right?
Get rid of your revenue.
Yeah, let's get rid of the people that pay for our services.
or in some cases, the sheeple that pay for your services.
But yeah, that merger is legit. That could happen. I mean, it's merger season, right?
Yep. And Julio J is right. Live stream TV is taking over. Technically, my 4K TV provider is live stream TV because it's TV over IP.
I don't have TV. I haven't really watched TV since I was 16 years old. Best decision I ever made.
I'm enjoying the Women's World Cup.
Did you guys see the ladies score 13 goals today? The U.S. ladies.
Oh yeah,
that was incredible. They beat Thailand 13-0.
I said holy expletive. When
See,
you can score 13 goals in a soccer match.
When they hit 12, they beat this record Germany had since the late 90s against Argentina.
See, I would much rather watch educational content on YouTube, but then again, I might be just insane.
Oh, I do that a lot. I just
like
TV. I'd rather watch Sneed than TV.
All right, guys, I got to get back to the.
Yep. All right,
we got
these states.
We got Mississippi, New York, California. Who else?
California, Virginia, Vermont, New York, District of Columbia, New Jersey, Colorado, Connecticut, Maryland, Massachusetts, Wisconsin. What is that, 11?
Oh, sweet. Colorado. I'm gonna write my attorney general and ask him why he's suing over it.
Well, this is what's interesting. California's attorney general. California is clearly on the side of T-Mobile after the initiative that they just received the funding for. They're going to be dumping billions into the infrastructure in that state.
And Verizon needs a competitor.
And another state that I'm surprised about was Actually, no, I'm not surprised. Michigan. I think that was kind of in there. But Colorado does kind of surprise me.
Yeah, all right.
But you know what?
My attorney general, he was a fellow Bernie Sanders delegate in 2016.
I'm big on Bernie, man. But seriously, we got to be able to look at this objectively. How is all of these attorney generals banding together, wasting time? What are you looking for, Pete?
My delegate credentials.
Oh, that's so random.
I think this is pretty crazy because the utilities commissions in a lot of these states have come out in favor of the mergers, and then the attorney general is going to say, "Nope, we disagree." So it's like, like New York says yes, then New York says no because the utility says yes, the attorney general says no. Stop wasting our time, people.
Well, Kyle says rural states are protecting their underserved populations. I disagree. They're not protecting underserved populations. They're actually keeping them from being served better.
They think they're protecting them.
Yeah, protecting them from what?
They're clearly misinformed.
The monopoly that's trying to compete with the duopoly.
Verizon's not helping anybody with expanded rural coverage.
Nope.
Neither is AT&T. The only company that is actively trying to expand rural coverage is T-Mobile, and they're doing it on multiple fronts. They're doing it with LTE. They're doing it with 5G. They're doing it with 600 megahertz frequency, and they're doing it with TV and home internet provisions. They have literally approached rural coverage as their most important initiative for their network. I mean, what else do you have to see?
I bet I know one thing that might be doing it. I'll bet a little cash money was passed under a table,
But that's a waste of time. It's not going to work. The 5G initiative alone is enough to get the presidential approval. And of course, the DOJ antitrust chief was appointed by Donald Trump.
They might just be trying to delay it. If they could, I don't know if it would be possible, but if they can delay it until next November, then
no, it's not good. So then they could block it by then.
Because then a new president.
We're gonna get word from DOJ within. I mean, it could be in a couple days. It could be next week. We're getting word soon.
So I have a friend who lives like 15 miles southeast of me. He's getting. I brought him up. He has HughesNet. I'm trying to get him the T-Mobile home internet unlimited for half the price and better the service.
HughesNet.
Expanding service,
the satellite internet stuff.
Expanding internet and wireless service to areas like that is helping underserved populations immensely.
I don't know, man. I've been watching people do their initial setups of T-Mobile's home internet, and they're loving it. They're getting 50, 60, 70, 80 megs per second download. They're getting 1020 on the upload. I mean, it's serviceable. They can run their entire house connectivity through TV or through T-Mobile's home internet. And it's not even bolstered yet. What about when they get 5G? What about when they get their network completely rolled out?
HughesNet cannot download an iOS update. It times out.
Oh, God. I'm wondering when T-Mobile is going to
HughesNet can't give you 20 megabits per second.
They can't give you 1 megabit per second.
I'm wondering when T-Mobile is going to roll their home internet out nationwide, because I think the sooner they do that, the better off they're going to be.
It would be quicker.
They can't do it without 5G, guys.
Or at least roll it out in smaller towns. Like maybe not roll it out in Minneapolis, but maybe you roll it out in like, I don't know, like Rochester, Minnesota. It's a smaller city, like it's smaller sized, or St. Cloud, not the major metro areas, not Chicago, but like Gary, Indiana, not Indianapolis, but
Kyle Dawson, thank you for the super chat. He says, new POTUS, Trump is going to stay POTUS for 8 years.
Not getting it.
I mean, I don't know. Is the economy looking strong enough? I mean, that is his claim to fame, right? If the economy's strong, do we keep him?
Not getting into that.
No, I'd really rather not go there.
Well, I think the point is the economy strong enough to where the president could say, everything's been great, stick with me, and I'll continue to help us thrive. And then it's like, well, if the Democrats are trying to kill this deal, well, then that just shoots them in the foot. You know what I mean?
Still not going there.
Still not going there.
I'm talking about from the network. I'm talking about from the merger side. What are you guys talking about? If the Democrats are trying to stall and he's reelected, then it's not working.
Oh gosh, yeah, no. If he gets reelected.
Kyle, thanks for the super chat again. Kyle is very generous today.
Yeah,
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I could say I delegated for Sanders. That's a fact. I'm on a record. And I'm not pushing his policy. I'm just saying I did.
You know what's interesting about the whole Trump thing is you remember a couple months ago when he did that whole 5G meeting?
Yep.
And he had a Jeep.
You mean the parade?
Yeah. He had all the people with the construction hats and all that, the tower climbers. It was funny. It was cool. And he was talking about 9G and 10G and how he's going to win all these different things. But, like, he made it abundantly clear that he wanted to win 5G. And I think this merger is an indicator that he's all in with it as long as that's the case. They can surpass China. They can compete internationally with 5G, that sort of thing. But he's been really quiet on this matter lately. He has not said anything.
I have a feeling he just wants to beat China on anything he can.
Yeah, he's all about making sure that America makes advances past the competition.
The thing is that he wants to beat China, and then he does really dumb things. Like some of the stuff he says, it's like what did he use before? Like a Samsung Galaxy S3 was his phone or something like that. Like the stuff he does just clearly tells us that he's inept with technology.
Well, I mean, look at his age, though. I mean, what's your expectation?
Well, that's fair.
But sorry, anybody, if you have a Galaxy S3, I'm technically already in it.
So yeah, that's a little bit of politics going on right now. I mean, there's a group of Democratic supporters. I think what we have is a situation where they're kind of being told, try to block this if you can, provide resistance. Maybe T-Mobile and Sprint will go away. But I don't think that's happening. I think T-Mobile's hell-bent on getting the deal done. I think the DOJ is also trying to get the deal done. They're just trying to put the concessions in place so that the opposition can't say anything. Because if it's an antitrust thing and it's about competition, if we go from 4 carriers to 3 and then we create a new 4th carrier that's better than Sprint, then we actually make the competition in the market much better.
I actually agree with T-Mobile's thought of we only actually have 2 carriers right now that really are legitimate.
Well, that's kind of self-damning, isn't it?
But it's true.
It's true, though.
Sure, subscriber numbers, T-Mobile's got 80 million. Verizon has about 150 some million, and so does AT&T.
AT&T's like, what, 120, 130?
Even more. I think they're up over 140 now. They've had some good quarters the last
quarters.
So, but let's look at the market share. Let's estimate AT&T and Verizon having 300 million subscribers. That means T-Mobile and Sprint combined have 120 to 125.
Mm-hmm.
So market share, that's still only 1/3 of the market, even with a combined merger. So if they have 1/3 of the market, that would mean there's balance in the market if there's 3 carriers.
See, I don't know why they're yelling so much.
Well, that's the thing. How are they going to say we care about competition when in the concessions you're building a 4th carrier to replace a failing Sprint? Sprint sucks. They are going to go bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that a better option?
They're either going to be bought by T-Mobile, like they're going to merge, or you're right, they're going to go bankrupt, and the assets are going to go on fire sale. That's all that's going to happen here. Because Sprint,
Verizon gets richer, and AT&T gets richer.
Yep, I think Sprint's doomed in less than 5 years if the merger doesn't go through for whatever reason. If it doesn't,
honest to goodness,
5
I
years.
really believe this. Even if this merger fails, they're looking for another merger right away.
Oh God, yeah.
They've been trying to liquidate themselves for years now.
I mean, they have released their Band 41 just to stay afloat.
I think it's SoftBank that just wants to get rid of them simply because they're a money pit.
It's just frustrating. You know, I watch that debt pile up. I mean, every year there's interest added to it. It's at 34 billion right now. How the hell do you operate with 34 billion in debt? And how do people defend it and say, "Oh, we got to maintain that fourth carrier"? No, get rid of that fourth carrier and bring a new fourth carrier. That's a much better option with no debt.
I think SoftBank is a lot to blame in this, though.
They are.
Because if they had actually shut up and put the money that was needed into it when they first got it, we would not be in this position. Sprint would actually be a very viable competitor and might even be beating T-Mobile. Because at first, Sprint was better than T-Mobile. And then, like, yeah, I know they made the mistakes with the WiMAX and stuff like that. But that was still recoverable. They could have fixed it.
If Sprint was a better network, I'd probably be on them at the moment. But when I get to Colorado, there wasn't Sprint coverage.
And Sprint is amazing where it works. Like here in Minneapolis, Sprint's actually pretty good. When you can get Band 41 and you can get Sprint coverage, it's actually really good. It's just the problem is that you can't get it in enough places to make it worth having. And if SoftBank hadn't screwed around, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
So-
but they've got some fundamental flaws with the network. Like their upload speeds are atrocious. And that's
So,
not
Kyle-
going to be able to be fixed overnight.
Well, actually, it could. It's a software update.
Yep. Kyle, I would agree that having three mobile phone companies in the U.S. that are cartelled like the cable companies are would be bad, like it is in Canada. And we're well aware that nobody in Canada has unlimited data or nationwide coverage, and some of the plans they actually have to pay per gig on postpaid.
I don't know. The way I see Sprint's network is if they're going to be fixing their upload issue, that means they're taking away from their download.
Yeah.
Which they can't afford to take from their download. The downloads are already questionable at best. I mean, how many times are you getting over 30 megabits per second on Sprint? Because then you could say, okay, we're going to allocate some of that bandwidth for upload. But you can't do that unless you're getting 70 or 80 megabits per second on the download. Because then when you take away from that, you're probably going to end up somewhere around 40 to 50. So you could have some upload to get you to about 5 to 10 megabits per second.
And when you get 41, you can do that. When you're on anything else, it's not possible.
I don't know. I just see like there have been bad decisions from the network side. There have been bad investment decisions. There have been horrible initiatives. I mean, Marcelo himself is a failure, if you ask me. You know, I know he was dealt a bad hand, but what has he done to improve the situation? I mean, you can't even say they've been maintaining. They've been hemorrhaging customers for like 20 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
So while T-Mobile has gone from very small to number 3, and it's not even close, Sprint's gone the other way. So back when Sprint had 80 million subs and T-Mobile had 30, now it's the other way around. T-Mobile's got the 80, right? And Sprint's at like 54. It's just awful.
Maybe. Well, if the merger didn't happen, which I think it will, but maybe Sprint could sell off their cell sites in rural areas, get MVNO roaming agreements with other carriers, and do almost like a U.S. Cellular does, provide service in major metro areas, and then when you went outside the major metro, you could get roaming. At least you'd still have coverage.
Yeah.
That'd be one way to fix the problem.
You know what's funny is you got to think about Sprint right now. The only people that are more frustrated about the resistance to the merger is probably Sprint. Like they're like, we need a solution to our problems. This is not helping. We can't have people trying to sue the merger. They're like, we got to get out of this debt, man. They're in the red big time. And, like those jobs and all those businesses, the stores, the infrastructure, all that's going to find a new home with the merger. I just feel like it's going to be a brighter day from Sprint once the merger is approved and the states just let progress happen. I don't know. What do you guys think? If you guys want to put like a percentage, where your confidence is at for the merger?
I'd still say about 90.
Yeah, I'm unshaken, but I'm still around 75%, which I was about 3 months ago.
I think this is more irritating than a real problem. Like the people are just doing delaying actions, and I find it more irritating than I don't think it's an existential threat.
I'm going 90%. I still feel the same about it today that I did a week ago and 2 weeks ago and a month ago. It hasn't changed anything because if it was going to be blocked or denied,
they would have said it already.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, but like it's quiet right now outside of the states. So the state attorney general is like, you're just pissing people off.
I don't even think a lawsuit over this can get traction.
Yeah, but they can't finalize the deal as long as there's a lawsuit.
Yeah, but they have to wait until the lawsuit gets thrown out because the states do not own the bandwidth that the merger will be going over.
I mean, I just can't wait for that moment where Makin Del Rahim is just like, yeah, we approve the merger. Here's the concession. See you guys on the other side.
Well, this is a federal issue. The states can sue all they want, but they really can't do much. At least to my knowledge, it's because it's states against a federal problem.
Like I said, worst case scenario with the lawsuit, it only sticks until it gets thrown out without a hearing.
I don't know. I just feel like part of the lawsuit is misguided, saying that it's anti-competitive when in reality it's creating a fourth carrier and it's getting rid of the bad fourth carrier and replacing it with a good fourth carrier. And I just don't understand how those people could legitimately make that argument, which is why I'm saying, and I agree when people say these have to be representatives that are just, they're getting pushed around by Verizon and AT&T.
That, and they don't understand what the heck in my opinion at least, they don't understand what the heck they're talking about, and they're just doing something to be shown to be doing something.
Pete, and you too, Dave, you guys can both chime in. If you lived in a city where the home internet providers were awful, and there were 4 of them, and all 4 were bad, one of them was a good price, but they just sucked in service, right? And I told you that one of those 4 could merge with another one of the 3, and they would become a good, and then we could replace that former 4th bad one with a new good one. Wouldn't you be fine with that?
I would.
Don't you still have 4 competitors there?
If they were all local, I'd totally be rallying for the mergers.
But that's my point is there are concessions that will be built into this that will ensure there are still going to be 4 carriers. If they're hung up on a 4th carrier, there you go. Here's a 4th carrier. That's better than a failing Sprint that's going to go bankrupt. Then you're only going to have 3 carriers anyways.
So you either get 3 carriers with Sprint and T-Mobile merging now and create a 4th carrier on your own terms with no debt, or you wait for Sprint to go bankrupt and you have 3 carriers with no way of making a 4th carrier. You pick your choice.
Did you guys see Endgame, the Avengers movie?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I don't watch movies.
There's like alternative timelines in this movie because they like go back in time and then like they change the way things are going to happen in the future. I wish we could have an alternative timeline to show people what would happen if Sprint went out of business and the spectrum and the assets went to Verizon and AT&T.
We need Doctor Strange.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He could do his, like, what is it, 4,600,072, whatever.
I don't know. I just love Cumberbatch.
I would love for people to see what the networks would be like when Sprint goes out of business, Verizon and AT&T get bigger, and T-Mobile continues to try to play the underdog role. T-Mobile's sick of being the underdog, bro. They got big plans, right? They want to do home TV, home internet. They want to do 5G right. They've done nothing but compete, keep pricing down, offer good pricing on prepaid with Metro. You know, do things, bring back the unlimited nationwide from all carriers. They forced the issue.
Because when they brought back unlimited, everybody was leaving to go to T-Mobile.
Yep.
Dave, when I got unlimited on Verizon, I didn't thank Verizon.
I thank T-Mobile.
I thank T-Mobile. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It had nothing to do, because if it was up to Verizon, they would have never have brought it back.
Oh, heck no. Of course they
And
don't want to give you
and
that.
the same thing with AT&T. If you're on AT&T and you have unlimited, thank T-Mobile. End of story. And Sprint too. Sprint competes. They just don't have the network. That's all.
Yeah, there were the no contract lock-in, like the no 2-year contract thing. T-Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have us locked in while they finance our phones, but
that's different. You could always pay the phones off and leave. That's a little bit different. It's not much different, but there is a difference.
Quite frankly, it's a noticeable difference in my opinion.
Because you have the choice to leave now. You did not before. Because before you had to sign a 2-year contract that said you would not leave.
You're not getting an early termination fee. You're just paying your device off because you entered a financial agreement with a third party. So,
guys, quick channel update. I've got a video that's dropping on Patreon. I think I'm going to drop it tomorrow. It's a LTE and the USA video. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll be uploading to the Patreon page, I think at some point tomorrow. It's a pretty nicely produced video. Ooh. Took me a while to kind of make it, do the research, compile it, build the script, do all the editing and stuff like that. So it's really, really nice. So I'll be posting that to Patreon tomorrow. You guys can check that out if you like. If you're not a patron, then definitely check that out. It's in the description box. I've got links for it. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that video. And I have to do a reaction video for the John Leisure message to the haters. I haven't watched the video yet, but I think I'm going to do a reaction tomorrow. Oh, so you've seen it, Pete?
I also watched his 5G Dream video, and I currently have like 30 likes on one of the comments I left on it.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought it would have bubbled under by now.
So I'll go ahead and I'll do that this week. I guess if there's no news tomorrow, nothing breaking from the merger, then that'll probably be a good time for me to produce that and then put it out there for you guys to watch. What else? I wanted to mention something and I forgot. Smartphones, really quick, since we got a little bit of time. The Note 10, for anybody out there that likes the Samsung Galaxy Notes, looks like no headphone jack.
Finally.
That's all. Dave, watch it, buddy.
Cole Ripley's no headphone jack.
Not a fan. Not a fan at all. But case renders and case leaks are showing no headphone jack.
Just die already.
Part of the 3XL is the lack of the headphone jack.
The headphone jack just needs to die already.
Dave, you're the worst. I hate you.
That's okay. I'm cool with that.
They're talking about bringing back the IR blaster, though.
What?
That was a good feature.
Yeah, that is a cool feature.
The problem is that nobody used it.
Well, now that people could use it, right? Because you can connect remote to your TV and other things like that.
You could do it then too, and nobody ever did. I mean, who thinks about pulling out their phone to control their TV? Like, besides Chromecast, I mean, obviously using the internet or whatever, but who thinks about like pointing your phone specifically at your TV's like IR blaster thing to be able to? No, nobody thinks about that.
So
I think it's a good feature, and I'm glad to see if it comes back.
It'll be interesting. I just don't see the reasoning behind it.
Well, it makes no sense to get rid of a headphone jack.
So, guys, Jesse Munley is wondering, would T-Mobile be better off taking the money they were going to use to buy Sprint and just invest in network growth? Then they would be free from some of the government regulations.
But they wouldn't have the 2.5.
That's what they want. They want that.
They're trying to buy Sprint to grow their network. Cellular bandwidth is a finite resource, and Sprint is sitting on a ton of it. So you can't really put $26 billion in network development if you've already built out all you can.
The thing is that they're getting, like, even with the debt, if T-Mobile can get Sprint, can get a hold of it, that 2.5 and the other spectrum that Sprint does have is actually a lot more worth it. So it's like they're getting a discount on it.
Oh, it's basically a huge discount. And keep in mind, you're also getting the customers.
Mm-hmm.
You're snatching up about 55 million subs. Because those Sprint customers are not going to want to migrate to a much more expensive Verizon or AT&T plan.
John Phillips says if Sprint and T-Mobile have to give up money, energy, and resources and time and spectrum to create a viable fourth carrier, will we have what we have right now? I mean, it defeats the purpose of a strong third carrier. No, the merger, even if they do need to do some concessions and if they can keep the 2.5, you'd still have the strong carrier because that spectrum is worth $27 billion.
I'm just a little concerned about kind of like the direction over the next week or so as we're kind of progressing towards the closing of the merger. I just want to know for sure that Macon Del Rahim is going to make the right decision and he's not going to fold just because of this small group. I think the network stuff will all work itself out. I think T-Mobile knows what they're doing. I trust Neville. I trust the competitive side of Sprint. I trust John. You know, I don't trust Sprint, which is good because they're becoming completely disabled in all of this.
I trust Neville.
I trust Neville. I trust Neville and John totally.
He's got a very good network plan for 5G.
They know what they're doing.
I mean, they've killed LTE over the last couple of years. I mean, come on, man. People used to call, and this was quoted in the live chat. I forget who it is, but I'd like to give you credit. T-Mobile used to be known as the ghetto network. That's not the case anymore.
No. I remember, as I said, I think I've brought it up a couple of times. I remember back in 2012, 2013, asking a friend of mine what network they had, and they said T-Mobile. And I'm like, what, do you only get service in, like, Atlanta? Because I was in Georgia at the time.
It was
like, the only place you get service is Atlanta, right?
Yeah, it was a very spotty network at the time.
It was awful.
Shout out to Kyle Dawson for calling it the ghetto network.
So yeah, big shout out to Kyle there. I kind of stole that from him, but I mean that's how people used to look at it. They used to look at it as a second-rate network. Like, oh, you can't get AT&T or Verizon or even Sprint.
Before I started using T-Mobile, I was actually shocked that I could get service in Colorado in the Boulder area.
Do you guys remember the LTE only challenge I did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did it with Verizon. I think it's time that I did another one. And I think I want to do a T-Mobile LTE only challenge.
There you go.
The thing is I just need to get a line from somebody who already has an account with T-Mobile, so that way that the line is more affordable. Because if I do it as an add-on, it'll probably cost me half as much as if I do it as a standalone line.
Yep.
So I'm gonna have to find somebody. I think.
Auto pay $40 a month, and I'll start you a line.
How much is it gonna be?
I think it's like $40.
That's nothing. do you accept PayPal?
I'll have to go in the store and ask, but yeah, could say how much would it cost me to get a line for a month or so?
I would just need 1 month.
Yeah.
And actually, I guess I could keep it. I mean, what's wrong with having 2 lines?
Otherwise, you could join my Ting Unlimited for $45.
But see, that's the thing, Dave. I wanted to be on T-Mobile postpaid so I can actually get that network performance.
That's true.
No cutoffs, no deprioritizing, no network management. Which you may not be experiencing much of it from what you tell me, but I just can't risk it here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that being the case, Pete, maybe we could work something out.
Yeah, I'll go in the store and talk with them, see if I can do something.
Worst case scenario, if you could just activate the SIM and then ship it to me, that'd be cool.
Dude, do you have a local T-Mobile store?
Yeah.
I could probably set it up so you just have to walk in there and get the SIM.
I think we just brokered a deal, man.
I'll see if I can walk into T-Mobile on Thursday and see what we can do.
Frankie says, to clear things up, isn't it Deutsche Telekom buying Sprint from SoftBank and not T-Mobile? Like T-Mobile bought Metro PCS, which Deutsche Telekom had nothing to do with. I think it's T-Mobile buying Sprint, isn't it?
I think no.
It is Deutsche Telekom buying Sprint. Oh, so that means they're buying it straight from SoftBank.
Yes.
That's why Huawei and all this stuff is implicated.
Yes. Realize that?
I'm like, why is Huawei such a big deal in this? Well, you remember that video I did, right?
Them in Asia. SoftBank uses them in Asia.
That's true. All right.
Wait,
that makes sense.
Completely missed it. Was DT buying them?
Well, he asked me on the last live stream about DT, and I was like, what's he talking about, DT? And then he clarified and said Deutsche Telekom, and I'm like, oh. So
I was actually under the impression that T-Mobile, a U.S. carrier, was buying Sprint, a U.S. carrier, and the only reason that DT and SoftBank were involved was because they are the owners. But if it's Deutsche Telekom buying Sprint, then that would be a foreign carrier purchasing a U.S. carrier, and then I could see that.
No, it's more complicated. It is a foreign carrier buying a U.S. carrier from a foreign
carrier.
You guys want my head to start doing circles here. All right, what else? All right, so we've got that. We're gonna have that up and coming. We'll do the T-Mobile LT only challenge. I don't want to do a Sprint LT only challenge. It's not gonna work.
You'd be on T-Mobile most of the time.
No, it would not. It's all 3G over here.
You can't roam onto T-Mobile?
I'm telling you right now.
You could have a Sprint 3G only challenge in 2019.
Play that game. I'm going to do LT only challenges for 3 carriers, and then one of them is going to be the 3G challenge. I'm going to try to send an email. Be back in 2 minutes. Come on, man.
Here I am trying to load a web browser.
Here's me giving up on loading a web browser.
You know what? I'm not trying to rag on Sprint, but I kind of am. But in certain markets, Sprint's network is just so slow.
God, yeah.
And I know some people say they have good coverage with Sprint. It ain't Cleveland, I promise you that, because every time I look at somebody's phone and they have Sprint, I see 3G.
I had a professor who used Sprint for decades. He's in my city. He got tired of them, and he's like, Peter, what phone should I use? I'm like, you're on Sprint? Go to T-Mobile. They're a little more expensive, but they're worth the hike.
Yeah, but it's only more expensive by like $8.
I remember when I was playing with Sprint and I was getting 3G here in the middle of Minneapolis. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
I mean, here in the live chat, it says, Sebastian says, WiMAX challenge. I mean, if you remember that. Xander says, Sprint is 3G here also. Sebastian also says, do the Edge challenge. I'm not trying to do any of that stuff, man. Like, it's 2019. We can't be talking about 3G.
Hey, Edge challenge might be worthwhile if you don't want to pay for the LTE in Europe on T-Mobile.
Edge is actually pretty good. Like, Edge itself is not good. Edge speeds over an LTE network is actually usable, somewhat, because
I can get emails without images, no problem on Edge.
Because Edge networks are really crappy. But Edge data speed over LTE, that's a different story.
Should have been.
Yeah.
John, I want to know, John Phillips, you say you get 120 megabits per second on Sprint. Which city are you in? Because I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's like T-Mobile speeds up here in Longmont.
John M. doesn't believe me. He says that I find it hard to believe that there's 3G in the middle of the city. I kid you not.
No, it's
all
true.
Over the Cleveland area, everywhere, there are huge, enormous pockets of 3G.
I have a screenshot in my photos of AT&T 3G in my roaming capabilities.
He's totally telling the truth. As I said, I've seen Sprint 3G in the middle of Minneapolis.
That's absurd. That's a twin city.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland is not a small city. It's not a huge city, but it's a city that has LTE from all of their providers.
You see the AT&T 3G on that for roaming?
Oh, you've got it listed there?
Yeah. And I've had AT&T networks, AT&T users in my neighborhood. They'd be happy with 3G. Most of the time they get nothing.
Hey guys, what are you excited for the rest of the year in terms of smartphones? Is there any device or is there anything in particular that's got your attention right now that you're kind of holding out for and excited for?
No,
not really.
Things are pretty quiet. I mean, there's nothing out right now, but you know the fall is always big.
I mean, it could happen, but the thing is that I feel like smartphones have really and truthfully hit a plateau. Yeah. I don't see where. I think we're just going to coast along until the next big thing comes out. People aren't upgrading their phones as often. Smartphones just are ubiquitous now, and it's time to face the music. You don't need a new smartphone every year like you used to.
Yeah, I tried 2 or 3 years before getting new phone.
I mean, I'm going to hold on to my OnePlus for quite a while here because even if the software. Even if they decide not to update the software, community software ROMs like Lineage OS and whatever are still going to support the thing for quite a while.
So I think 2019 is the year to buy flagships from 2018.
Yes.
I'm actually looking at buying an S9 Plus. And the reason I'm looking at getting the S9 Plus is because it's going to cost me about $300.
Yep.
And I'm talking like certified, like almost new, like excellent condition, no wear, no tear, no nothing. I'm going to get a Snapdragon 825?
Bed, 300 megs in Boston. Who are you using?
Is that wireless or is that a wired connection?
I guess I'm more a fan of the newer mid-range because with the older flagships, you get one less year of software updates. So I think I'd almost rather go with like a Nokia 6.1 or
but those are the only devices getting updates.
Or
it's Nokia, Pixels,
Pixel 3a.
Yeah, that's really the only ones getting that, Dave. So I get what you're saying. You get some support there. A OnePlus 6 or a OnePlus 6T.
I'm using a OnePlus 6.
And you're going to be getting updates for at least another year or two.
Mm-hmm. And after that, if I decide not to give it up, because really and truthfully, I think the limiting factor nowadays isn't the smartphones themselves, it's the batteries.
Yes.
Because your battery starts to go bad, and then you're like, okay, I need a new phone, not because the phone is causing you problems, but because the dang battery isn't holding a charge anymore.
Well, you get the question like I did with my OG Pixel. Should I upgrade to a new phone or should I replace the battery? And because of my situation, the new phone was a better idea. But if I did not have a business I could write the new phone off with, I probably would have bought a battery kit and replaced it.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, did you ever check out John Phillips' channel or his page? It was fablicguru.wordpress.com.
I'm still looking through there.
Okay, so I don't know if you ever had the chance to check into it.
Tell you what,
Take a look at it, John.
slammed recently, and John Phillips, if you're in the chat still, sorry for the delay. Got like 4 feature update requests on 3 websites I'm maintaining.
Braveheart says, I'm thinking about buying the Google Pixel 3. Pete, could you speak to that device?
3XL's fine.
He's talking about getting a 3.
Too.
Yeah.
You get the same 4K camera with night sight, unlimited storage if they're still doing the promotion for your 4K images or slightly higher than 4K images. It's snappy. It should be getting Android R when that comes out.
So that would be what?
Next year.
The Pixel 3 itself?
Yeah. And
getting QR and S, right?
Might even get S, but you'll be getting security updates through Google until a year or 2 after the last operating system pack you get.
And you'll actually get updates on time.
Yeah.
That's a very important thing with devices, is that people don't think about these updates being delivered in a timely manner, and it is important.
I get my updates like within 2 days of the image going live.
Well, that means you have a Google phone.
Yeah, because I like reading up and seeing if it breaks something.
Yeah, they always put out those different updates, and if features are lost or if things start acting up.
Yep.
Gary says, what are you guys going to talk about after the merger is over? Once the merger is approved, the floodgates actually open.
Yeah.
Network improvements, infrastructure build. I mean, there's still going to be some legal things there. What's going to happen with Sprint? The booth testing. I mean, there's going to be a lot.
Another thing to talk about is how well does my hotspot work for my Switch?
I mean, and we're going to continue to. I mean, the networks are going to become more competitive. So, if anything, I think it probably opens up more avenues for topics on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Vader in the house. Glad you could be here, buddy. Thank you for stopping by. Rafael Perez says, the moderator, he said, battery life on 5G phones?
Garbage.
Good.
Next question.
And Pete, you know why.
Yeah, it's constantly looking for 5G antenna.
Exactly. They got to figure that out.
Has that been proven?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's been proven.
They'll lose 32% battery in standby alone.
In like 3 hours.
I mean, how much, if you left your LTE phone on the dresser all night on LTE, you would probably lose 2 to 3%.
On a bad night, yes.
See what I'm saying? If you're on an updated software system, it's more like 1 to 2%.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty bad.
I don't think it's relevant until. I don't think 5G is relevant until the networks start to build out. Like, I would not buy a 5G phone for the next 2 years.
Flyboy Rex says, which states are going to block the merger? I think we named them at the beginning of the video, but it's California, Vermont, New York, Michigan, Colorado, Connecticut, Maryland, Mississippi, Virginia, Wisconsin, and the District of Columbia.
I got all but 3.
Would you get Wisconsin in there? Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's just a pain. I think they're fishing in an empty well It's just getting annoying at this. You know what it's like? It's like an itch on your back, and it's just annoying. You just can't reach it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do is make ourselves a nuisance.
What else do you guys want to cover? I mean, we're already over an hour in. What do you guys want to do?
Anyone see the E3 presentations for Microsoft, Nintendo, Square, Ubisoft?
Yeah, anybody catch any of that stuff?
I could care less.
No. I didn't see any of it myself, but I did see that on a lot of forums everybody's talking about it.
I watched all of them, and I don't like going into it being like, I like Nintendo, I want Nintendo stuff, but even being apathetic, oh my god, Nintendo.
Well, the Nintendo's having like a renaissance of sorts.
Yeah,
They were huge when I was a kid, and then they got really, really quiet because PlayStation and Xbox obviously were the big, console platforms that took off. And then here they are with their modular approach to their hardware and all these new, types of gaming platforms. And it's good to see them make that comeback. I was always a huge fan as a kid.
Oh, yeah. So Switch has already outsold in Japan the PS4 for lifetime. So I'm going to be getting more JRPGs.
Those are good. It'll be a good gaming platform. I mean, in the long term, I think it's going to be sustainable.
I think the main reason that I'm not as caring about news like that is mainly because of my vision, because I can't really play most of the video games that exist nowadays.
So then you're just not paying attention to it.
Pretty much. Gaming things just don't interest me because I can't play them anyway.
See, that's the thing. Like, even people of certain age groups, it's just not a topic that they even consider. Like, why would I read up on it? Why would I watch for updates on it? I just don't care that much. And I think for people that are older than 40, maybe older than 45, there's probably no motivation to maybe get into a new gaming platform.
To me, I have an issue with first-person shooters.
It's been pretty stale lately.
No, I was good. My hands functioned well back in the days of GoldenEye, but now.
Oh, I remember those. I remember that game, man.
Yeah, but now hands can't quite do it. So
I almost just can't play anything that's 3D. Really, fast-paced games I can't do.
That's why I like JRPGs.
Me personally, I'm an Xbox guy. I play FIFA, UFC. Those are more my games. Like competitive sporting, like anything hoops, Madden, 2K, stuff like that.
My favorite, a couple of my favorite games were Def Jam Fight for New York for the PlayStation 2 and the Pokemon series for Game Boy.
Man,
got Sword and Shield on pre-order.
I had my Pokemon Sapphire on my Game Boy Advance SP that I would carry around with me.
Man, I totally remember Tech Mobile, Pete. I remember Tech Mobile, man.
Hold on a second.
I remember NFL Blitz, John. I remember that game. That was a big-time game. God, man, it was like NBA Jam, but NFL.
Anybody played Top Gun for the PlayStation 1?
PlayStation 1. I remember the PlayStation 1, it used to have like a tray. You opened it up and it folded back and you would put the disc in.
Oh,
you got the Tech Mobile.
Dude, I have 250 NES games to my left.
You know what I did, Pete? On my original Xbox, I modded it. I put a chip on it.
Yeah.
Got a huge hard drive for it, and I downloaded 30,000 emulators. Yeah. On seriously, 30,000 titles from every gaming system, from the Game Boy to the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo. I mean, I had Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I had all of that stuff.
Sebastian, I've Top Gun 1 and 2. I did that with my Wii, and I loved it.
And I remember I used to play that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, man, trying to beat Mike Tyson.
Oh, you got the classic one, not the Mr. Dream.
No, the classic one was the first one, and the only way for you to beat Mike Tyson is when if you had to look in the crowd and there would be a flash of somebody taking a picture, and that would be when you were supposed to punch Mike, and it would knock him out right away.
Yep.
Total glitch in the Matrix, man.
Anywho, I'm going to be, if when the merger goes through, I'm going to be psyched to see my hotspot making my Switch more playable on the road.
What type of speeds are you getting on your hotspot?
I've been using an LTE tablet to work in a park and waiting for appointments to finish I drive people to.
Mm-hmm.
Been getting a solid 80, 70 megs a second.
So why would you need it faster than that?
I don't know. I want reliability though.
I can't remember what it was, but I saw a thing on the Ting subreddit here recently where I think they were offering, if you had a line on their network already, you could get like a 30 gig hotspot for like $20 or $25 or something.
It's pretty
Sounds
good.
about right.
That would be what, just like an add-on?
Yeah, you'd already have to have a line, but if you got that, they'd send you the hotspot or whatever. It was on Sprint, so meh. But it was like $30 for like, or $30 or $25 for like 30 gigs of data.
Do you guys think that the merger could potentially create a scenario where T-Mobile would offer unlimited hotspot from their smartphones?
I think 5G will. I don't know about the merger itself. I think 5G will.
At the moment, in some scenarios, I could get a deprioritized situation with a hotspot, but still about unlimited data.
Yeah, but that would keep you at like 3G speeds probably.
It's deprioritized, so it's the same unlimited as the house phone or the cell phone.
Through T-Mobile?
Yeah.
Is that the international unlimited plan, that old grandfather plan?
No.
Okay, because I know there's some people out there that still have that plan, and they're getting unlimited mobile hotspot. It's just, again, like you said, it gets deprioritized at certain times. Network and stuff.
I'm okay with deprioritized hotspots.
I mean, that's perfectly understandable, but it's still retaining truly unlimited. So if not 50 megabits per second, maybe bring it down to 10 for a little bit, until towers start to clear up a little.
Yeah, and then I go back up to 50 megs a second.
Man, I would love to see that. Seriously, man, I'm really psyched to see what T-Mobile's going to do as a disruptor post-merger. I'm just sick of waiting, man. I want to report better news, but it's like we're just waiting.
I'm pretty psyched by the tech end. Like, if you look at the T-Mobile 5G Vision thing, the applications that have not been thought of are really exciting, and I'm waiting to hear back from a NSF grant my department proposed about to see if we can test the security of those networks.
I'm really excited for 5G home internet and point to multi-point, because they'd be able to run one fiber cable to a cell tower, and then everybody within range of that cell tower could get 50 to 100 megabit or more per second internet with a little wireless base station they put either inside or just outside their houses. And the infrastructure cost of laying fiber would be lessened a lot, because now you only have to run one versus running hundreds or thousands.
Oh, to each individual home or whatever.
Because say one cell tower could serve 1,000 people. Well, you run one fiber cable and it costs whatever amount, or you could run 1,000 fiber cables and it costs a heck of a lot more to do that. So you want to run really high bandwidth fiber cable to the tower, and then everybody just can go off of that. And that's something I'm really excited about.
Frankie says, what will be your reaction to both if the merger is approved or not? I have a somewhat of an idea on the approval part, but I'm completely at a loss when it's not approved. So, go ahead, Pete.
I'd be like,
honestly, if when the merger gets approved, I will be like, I think my reaction is it's about damn time.
I think so.
If it wasn't, if it didn't get approved, like legitimately, guys, I would be like completely shocked.
I'd be making monkey noises, like I said.
That would be completely outrageous if the merger did not get approved. I actually cannot see that happening. I can foresee the suing, the attempt at blocking it because it was approved. I cannot see a disapproval. I just can't. What else? Yeah, Gary, everybody's loving you, man. Pete, Gary's loving you. He's loving the chimp sounds and whatnot. All right, so anything else for the good of the order, guys?
Nope.
I think we got to a lot of topics today. A little bit of opposition on the merger. We talked about the states that have assembled their attorney generals to try to oppose and resist the merger. Got some attempted lawsuits there. It's just stupid and time wasting, and it's just annoying. Just get rid of these gnats and these flies. They're just in the way. So hopefully that just kind of blows over without any major setbacks to the merger. Hopefully I have nothing but good news to report over the next couple of days and over the next week. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and set for notifications whenever I upload these videos. Make sure you're the first to know when they do drop. The news could happen any day. I don't know. I'm expecting something really, really soon. So, stay tuned to the channel for more updates. I do have a video up and coming here. I'm going to upload it to the Patreon page if you guys are interested in that. LT in the United States, how we stack up, how we compete. And then it looks like I'll be working on an LT only challenge. This time I'm probably going to do it through T-Mobile. Pete's going to get me connected there, and we should be set for that.
Please
be on the lookout for those things.
Reasonable rate first.
What's that?
Please see if I can find a reasonable rate before we go in, but probably going to be reasonable and easy for a month.
I just want it to be exactly what I have with Verizon, which is just a regular, stat. Like I want 720p or whatever it is, the comparable HD. I want, just a regular deprioritization limit. I want everything to be postpaid and regular. That's it.
You want the Magenta one? You want the Magenta Plus?
I want the Magenta one. What's the entry level one?
Magenta.
Is that 480p?
Yeah.
All right, give me the 720p one, whatever that one is, or 1080p.
Okay.
And then, because that's what I got with my Verizon, and I want to do the same thing. I want to try to keep everything as fair and similar as possible. The only difference is Verizon manages network traffic at 22 gigs, and I think T-Mobile does it at what, 50 or something.
Yep. Couldn't you get around the 480p thing by using like 1.1.1?
I don't want to do any type of VPN service because I didn't do that with the Verizon thing either. I'm just going whatever they're providing. I just want to try it for those 30 days.
Okay. See what I can do.
All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. If you want to go ahead and I don't know if you guys want to do any shout outs or say anything to the group before we head out here. Pete, Dave, anything?
No.
All right, so I think we'll leave it at that. I want to thank everybody who participated in the live chat. Thank you to Pete for joining us. Thank you to Dave from Dave B's Tech for joining us. Thank you guys for being here. I want to thank the patrons for the continued support on the Patreon page. I want to thank the Discord server for the community interaction. Go ahead, Pete.
Let's thank John Phillips for tossing us a bone.
Thank you to all of those in the live chat that gave super chats. John, I think who else gave a lot of super chats tonight? Who was it?
Dawson.
Dawson came through big time tonight. If we forgot you, sorry. Thank you for all of your continued support. And Sebastian, thank you so much. He says, have you heard of, what is that, Volfi or Volk 1? Not sure I have, but
yeah, what?
Look into it. Yeah, we'll have to look into it. Maybe another night we'll bring up that topic. I'll look into that. But yeah, that's it for this podcast. I want to thank everybody again for your continued support, watching all the videos, communicating, all the different messages and everything in the comment section. It's been a lot of fun. The merger's got us busy. Stay tuned to the channel there. I think that's it. So thank you guys again for tuning in. For Dave.
Wondering about Volk 1 too.
What's that?
Zoli is wondering what Volk 1 is too. Is that something to Vulcan mind melds?
I have no idea. We'll have to save it for the next time.
Alrighty.
Thanks, guys, for watching. On behalf of myself as well as Dave and Pete, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you guys on the next live stream podcast.
Have a great one.
Peace.